What you are about to see and hear is information created, curated, and developed by our HI, Human Intelligence team, at the Modular Solution led by Stephen Hailstrom. Then, we put all our thoughts together into a wonderfully understandable AI-generated presentation. Enjoy.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down for you. We have 4 key parts. First, we'll define the construction crisis happening in Canada right now. Then, we'll introduce the 14-day MVA as the strategic intervention. Third, we'll walk through the financial architecture that makes it all work. And finally, we'll show you the very real, unfair advantage this whole system creates.
Okay, so let's kick things off with Section 1, Canada's construction crisis. And right away, we need to be crystal clear about something. The problem isn't about building. It's about a total systemic failure in how we deliver housing.
Yeah, this quote really hits the nail on the head. It's all about reframing the problem. We're arguing that the old ways of doing things, they're just plain broken. They're fragmented, they're out of date, and honestly, they just can't keep up anymore.
And this is where we run into a really big, expensive problem. We call it the modular dumb tax. Think of it this way. It's the financial penalty you pay, and it's a huge one, when you try to force old-school on-site thinking into a high-tech factory setting. The result? It's always the same. Catastrophic change orders, massive delays, and budgets that just get blown to pieces.
So this dumb tax, it's really just a symptom of something much bigger, what we call the crisis of chaos. You've got architects over here, engineers over there, the factories somewhere else, and none of them are talking the same language. The supply chains are a mess. The original design gets lost in translation, and all of this creates a kind of systemic gridlock that freezes projects and capital before a single shovel even hits the dirt.
So, we've laid out the problem, this crisis of chaos. Now let's talk about the solution, and it's called the 14-day MVA intervention. Now, I want to be really clear. This is not another endless consulting project. This is a strategic, surgical intervention, a blueprint designed to bring absolute certainty into the equation.
Right, the MVA, that's the Modular Viability Assessment, is all about speed and precision. We get this done in a strict 14-day sprint. It's broken into 3 simple phases. Days 1 to 3, that's phase 1, digital intake. You give us all your data, site info, zoning, sketches. Then, days 4 to 10, we move to phase 2, modeling. This is the deep dive. We analyze everything from manufacturing feasibility to the financial structure and the regulatory hoops you'll need to jump through. And finally, days 11 to 14, phase 3, delivery. You get a complete MVA master report in your hands. It's a totally financeable plan ready to go.
So here's the bottom line, the most important takeaway. The MVA is a fast, tough, evidence-based diagnostic. Its one and only job is to kill the risk and give you crystal clear answers on whether your project is viable before you put any serious money on the table.
Okay, this brings us to the financial heart of the matter. Because an MBA isn't just a technical report card. No, it actually engineers the entire financial structure you need to protect your capital and, just as importantly, unlock that project speed we've been talking about.
You see, with modular, there's this unique financial hurdle. We call it the cash flow chasm. Unlike a traditional build where you pay as you go, a factory needs a big chunk of cash up front to buy materials and get the production line rolling. The NVA is designed to build a bridge over that chasm using a very specific payment plan, the 25-90-10 draw schedule. Let's break that down. First up is a 25% deposit. And this isn't just some random number. That 25% is what lets the factory lock in your production slot and, crucially, buy all the materials right away. That immediately locks in your costs and protects the project from any crazy swings in the supply chain.
Okay, the next big payment brings the total up to 90%. And this happens at a very specific moment, when the modules are finished, inspected, and sitting at the factory gate ready to ship. For any lender, this is a massive de-risking event. Why? Because their money is now tied to a real, physical, completed asset, not just a plan on paper.
And that last 10%, that's the final holdback. It doesn't get released until the city signs off and you have the official occupancy permit in your hand. This is so important because it keeps everyone, the factory, the builders, everyone, laser focused on the real finish line, getting the building open and tenants moved in.
And here's where you really see the magic happen. Look at this timeline. A traditional build might take, say, 21 months. But by doing the site prep and the factory building at the same time, we can crush that down to just 9 months. That's not just faster, that is a fundamental shift in the math of the project.
And that speed, that timeline compression, creates a massive financial advantage we call commercial alpha. Think about it. Shortening the schedule by 12 months means you get 12 extra months of rent checks coming in. That's pure revenue you would have otherwise lost. It completely transforms the project's ROI, the internal rate of return, which is the #1 thing investors care about.
But wait, the financial wins don't even stop with the extra revenue. I mean, think about it. By cutting the construction time in half, you're also cutting way down on the interest you're paying on those expensive construction loans. We're often talking about a direct 6-figure savings right there. It's huge.
All right, let's pull all this together in our final section. Because the MVA does more than just create a solid plan. It actually builds you a powerful, unfair advantage by knowing how to play the game within Canada's very specific regulatory world. We call this a regulatory moat. It's a protective barrier around your project that your competitors just don't have. So how do we build it? First, we package the whole deal under a CDC 14 contract. That's the Canadian standard for design build, and it means one party is responsible for everything, no finger pointing. Second, we make sure everything is compliant with the CSA 277 factory certification. This is a national standard that makes local municipal inspections so much smoother. And third, and this is the big one, we give you the technical proof you need to unlock federal funding through CMHC programs.
And look, this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The value is targeted specifically to who you are. So for you private developers, it's all about boosting that IRR and getting your capital working faster. For Indigenous groups, it's about getting certainty on logistics for remote projects. If you're a nonprofit, this gives you the technical horsepower you need to get your funding applications approved. And for property owners, it's simple: rapid feasibility studies and drastically reduced risk.
And just a quick but important housekeeping note here. If there's any specific local zoning information that isn't already in our central database, what we call the master brain, don't worry. We identify and confirm all of that during Phase 1 of the MVA. It's just a standard part of our due diligence.
Thank you for listening. Please reach out to our human side for details on any solution or idea that is of interest to either you or your organization. We help you to build housing at high speed.